Hello and welcome to the Good Vibration Show, a show for seniors by seniors. I'm your host, Jackie Bogue. Today on our show, we'll be hearing from Diana Dagg about how to prevent falls, testing our memory with a bit of trivia, and hear some words of wisdom from Dell. But first, we have our Timepieces music segment. In recent weeks, we've been listening to music that makes you want to jump up and dance and sing along, just like you did when you first heard the song and didn't have a care in the world. Today, our host Steve Ferreira has chosen an artist with another style of music, so grab your cuppa, sit back and enjoy.
1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody get in the groove and let the good times roll. We got to stay here to soothe our soul.
Thank you, Jackie, and hello, listeners. That Good Times was by Phoebe Snow, an American folk jazz singer-songwriter and guitarist, better known by her stage name, Phoebe Snow. She's best remembered for her hit songs Poetry Man and Harpo's Blues, released in 1975. According to the New York Times, Snow was a contralto grounded in a bluesy growl capable of sweeping over 4 octaves. Another music writer added that she gracefully combined a nasal delivery with smoothness. She experienced success in Australia in the late 1970s and early 1980s with 5 top 100 albums. Phoebe Snow honed her craft early, when as a student she carried her prized Martin acoustic guitar from club to club in Greenwich Village, New York City. Playing and singing on amateur nights, her acoustic guitar chops were a perfect match for that amazing voice. Her debut album, titled Phoebe Snow, was released in 1974, containing her top 5 hit, Poetry Man, and followed by a slew of standouts. In fact, the entire album is extraordinary. Her backing band was made up of top jazz and studio session musicians, including Teddy Wilson on piano, Bob James on organ, Chuck Domanico on bass, Steve Mosley on drums, Ralph McDonald on percussion, and Zoot Sims on tenor saxophone. My first song on today's Timepieces segment, the gorgeous Harpo's Blues. The song came about from an easygoing, carefree guy she was dating for a time, whose company she found highly amusing and who reminded her of Harpo Marx.
I wish I was a willow and I could sway to the music in the wind. I wish I was a lover. I wouldn't need my costumes and pretend. I wish I was a mountain. I'd pass boldly through the clouds and never end. And I wish I was a soft refrain. When the lights were out, I'd play and be a friend. I strut and fret my hour upon the stage. The hour is up, I have to run and hide my rage. I'm lost again. I think I'm really scared. I won't be back at all this time, and I have my deepest secret shared. Na, 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 na. I'd like to be a willow, a lover, a mountain, or a soft refrain. But I'd hate to be a grown-up and have to try to bear my life in pain. lights were out, I'd play and be your friend. I strut and fret my hour upon the stage. The hour is up, I have to run and hide my rage. I'm lost again. I think I'm really scared. I won't be back at all this time and have my deepest secret shared. No, 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 no. I'd like to be alone. A lover, a mountain, or a soft rain. But I'd hate to be a grown-up and have to try to bear my life in pain. And have to try to bear my life in pain. And I have to try to bear my life in pain. And I have to try to bear my life in pain.
Harpo's Blues. 1975 to 76 was the period when Phoebe Snow reached her apex in popularity, with the wide release of that debut album and the 1976 follow-ups of Second Childhood and It Looks Like Snow, which went gold in the US. In 1975, Snow married Phil Kearns, but divorced in 1978. They had a daughter, Valerie Rose, born in 1975 with hydrocephalus, a swelling of the brain. Snow resolved not to institutionalize Valerie and cared for her at home as a single mother until Valerie died at the age of 31. Snow told her daughter's story at every concert. She would say, "Tonight and every night for the rest of my life, I will dedicate every show to my daughter, Valerie Rose." Not long after Valerie's death, Phoebe Snow sadly passed away early too, when she suffered a cerebral hemorrhage on January 2010 and went into a coma and continued with medical interventions for quite a while. She died on April 26, 2011 at age 60. She leaves us today with a sweetly crafted and beautifully delivered song most listeners would remember her by, Poetry Man.
Bashful boy, you're hiding something sweet, please give it to me, yeah, to me. Oh, talk to me some more. You don't have to go, you're the poetry man, you make things alright. Are a genie, and all I ask for is your smile each time I rub the lamp. La 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 la. When I am with you, I have a giggling teenage crush, then I'm a sultry lamb, yeah, a sultry lamb. Whoa. You're the poetry man, you make things alright. once again. It's time to say so long and so recall the love of life. La, 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 la. You're going home now. Home's that place somewhere you go each day to see your wife, yeah, 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 to see your wife. Oh, oh, talk to me some more. You know that you don't have to go. You're the poetry man. You make things alright, yeah. Oh, oh, talk to me some more. You know that you the poetry man, you make things alright.
Well, that was Poetry Man. I hope these songs took you back to the time and place you first heard them. And if you hadn't heard Phoebe Snow before, then I hope you enjoyed hearing her for the first time. Enjoy the rest of the Good Vibration show, and I hope you can join me again next time. Over to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Steve. Next up, we're talking falls prevention. Diana Dagg chats with Trish Lynch from New South Wales Health about the risks and consequences of a fall and the steps that we can take to minimise the chance.
Hi, I'm Diana Dagg. Today we'll be talking about falls prevention for seniors. I'm with Trish Lynch, falls prevention specialist with New South Wales Health, part of a team providing support services to Inner West seniors. Trish, welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity, Diane.
What does your work as a falls prevention specialist involve?
One of the main parts of my role is trying to get the messages out to the community at large about falls prevention and what one can do about it, about the risk factors, about what can be done about those risk factors, and that can involve education of healthcare practitioners, both public and private. It can be educating the community organisations that have reach into their communities, and this includes people whose first language isn't English, because it's important that we reach all of our community. So that's one of the main things is getting the messages out there in a way that can be understood and communicated easily.
Key question, why should we as seniors be concerned about falls?
One of the biggest concerns with falls is in a split second of having a fall, your life can completely change. Now that's a doom and gloom way of looking at it, but it happens often enough that it's, to me, very concerning. So a quick fall, which is a split second thing, can result in a person's complete change of quality of life. Sometimes that can be death, but often it can be a simple fall can result in significant loss of quality of life, perhaps ending up in an aged care facility before your time, or even if you are at home, having a physical pain, the mental anguish of reduced abilities, and the actual financial burden associated with needing more services perhaps, or needing more equipment. A very quick moment of a fall can change your life completely.
Following up on that, do we become more vulnerable as we age?
One of the things about ageing is that we all start to slow down a little bit. We lose muscle mass, we lose muscle strength, we become more rigid in our spine and our movements. We start to have physical changes such as reduced hearing, reduced vision, as I said, reduced strength, and a reduced ability to make quick decisions. And we need to self-assess and determine where we are on that, but not to give in and say, oh, you know, I'm old, I can't do anything, but more perhaps rethinking how we do things. So rather than thinking we're going to hear that electric car coming along, we actually need to turn our heads and look and make sure before we cross the road that the electric car is actually going to see us before we cross the road, rather than wait for it to stop for us, because not everybody will stop at a pedestrian crossing. There's also medical changes, so it's more likely that a person will have a medical problem such as diabetes, a respiratory problem, a heart problem, a brain problem such as reduced memory as one ages. And all of those can contribute to our increasing our risk of falls.
What would be your top tips around how to prevent falls, Trish?
It's really important that one looks at one's environment. You often find with people that they've lived in the same home for many years, some people decades. you might have moved into it when you were in your 20s, but you may now be in your 60s or 70s or 80s, and you may not look at your home for the risk factors. So sometimes it needs to step back and look and see if there are any risk factors. So that rug that you've had, that's your favourite rug that's been in the hallway for decades, may now be starting to curl. The other thing is to also look for clutter. Now, I can call it clutter, you can call it my possessions, my very personal things. But that little table with the little spindly legs that you've had next to your favourite chair for many years now could become a trip hazard. Also things like your shower and your bathroom and such. They're slippery areas. We go into them, we turn on the water, we can increase our risk of falling. So looking at our toilet area and seeing whether or not we need to do something like get handrails put in so that we reduce our risk of falls. Just making sure that we can stay in that home safely rather than just stay in the home at risk of having a fall and maybe hitting your head. There are people called occupational therapists, if you haven't met them before, and that's their specialty. They can come into your home and write a professional report on the things that you could do to change your environment to make it safer.
The role of the occupational therapist sounds really important. So who should we contact right now if we want to get that ball rolling?
So occupational therapists can be either public or private. So obviously if you looked up in your local area, you'd find a private occupational therapist who could come to your home. Obviously that has a cost associated with it. One of the things that you can do is get a care plan through your GP that will help to reduce that cost, and you can get up to 5 different allied health appointments over a 12-month period with your care plan if you've got a chronic condition, which most of us have got something going on, be it arthritis or heart or whatever as we get older. To get a public occupational therapist, you'd need a referral from your GP to the local hospital, and there would be a waiting list, but that means that it can be done and they can manage that situation. One of the services that we all are entitled to over 65 is through what's called the My Aged Care service. It's a federal service, and you can get you can ring up yourself and refer yourself, or you can get a daughter or a friend to refer you. You just have to give permission. And one of the services involved in that is an assessment done by one of their officers. And if you identify the fact that you've got concerns about your home, then they can organise an occupational therapist to come to your home as part of that service. And I strongly recommend that anybody who is over 65 registers with the My Aged Care service now, not when you need it, but now before you do need it. You get a number. You don't necessarily have to do anything with that. But it means that when you do feel you need some help, that it's better to do it when you're well and you don't need services, because it is a bureaucratic process. And if you Googled My Aged Care, you would find the telephone number and you can do it over the phone.
Would that be your key message to take away today, is to register now for My Aged Care, or is there something else that you'd like us to take away as well?
I'd like you to certainly registering with My Aged Care is a really good positive step. But as far as falls prevention goes, it's not the be all and end all. I'd really like everyone to think about the top risk factors. And the first risk factor is medications. So if somebody is on 4 or more medications, regardless of what they are at more risk than the person who isn't. One of the things about that is to have a medication review every so often with your GP or your pharmacist in your community pharmacy. They are able to do that, and it's part of their duties to assist you. So if you went in and they were busy, you'd say, can I make a time to sit with you with my medications? So it's extremely important to know your medications, to have them written down, be it in your phone, on a piece of paper, whatever, and know why you're taking them. The second important thing is bone health. So we need to have enough calcium in our diet to make our bones be as strong as they need to be. And a lot of people have undiagnosed osteoporosis or osteopenia, the precursor to osteoporosis, and therefore if they fall, they're more likely to shatter rather than just have a simple break. So how do you find out? If you've got enough calcium in your bones, you just have a bone scan. And if you're over 70, you can have that for free. If you're over 65, it would be at cost, but it's good to know because you can't see what your bone density looks like. And you need to also understand that the friend of calcium that makes it actually absorbed into your bones is vitamin D. And that only really comes from the sun. A little bit from eggs, but really, and margarine, but mostly it's from the sun. So in Australia, we are in Sydney, and we need to be in the sun with no sunscreen, 15% of our body exposed for about 5 minutes in summer and about 20 odd minutes in winter, depending on the darkness of your skin. it might have to be a little bit longer. So that doesn't mean you have to sunbake. And it doesn't mean like saying you should go out between 10 and 2 or 10 and 3 and get sunburnt. It means going, say, and hanging out the washing in summer, but just not having your arms covered and maybe your legs, your shorts on or something like that. So that's really important, is calcium. The next really important factor is footwear. So it's really important to make sure that your feet actually offer support when you're walking, rather than just an opportunity to slip over because they're not attached to your foot. Occupational therapy we've already talked about, so making sure your home is a safe environment is extremely important. But the most important risk factor that you can do something about today for falls prevention is improving your balance and improving your leg strength. So you need to do specific exercises to be able to reduce your risk of falling, which include a good dose of balance and a good dose of leg strength. And they do not have to be very elaborate exercises. And as I say, balance is the most important thing you can do to reduce your risk of falls, which is what the evidence says right at this moment.
Where would you direct us? What website would you direct us for?
I'm going to direct you to the New South Wales Health website called the Active and Healthy website. So if you Googled it, you would put in Active and Healthy website, because otherwise if you just Google Active and Healthy, it could just give you exercise equipment. But as soon as you get onto that web page, which is, as I say, a New South Wales Health web page, up the very top is an opportunity to get a book called Staying Active and On Your Feet. And that booklet has lots of information about what I've talked about today. It has some really good contact information at the back. It has one page that's dedicated to the exercises, as I've already mentioned, for balance and leg strength. And what's good about that booklet is you can ring up and they will send it to you for free. And also they have 2 exercise circuits on that website, which you can follow along if you want to, and do some exercises for legs and arm strength. The other website that's very helpful as well, if you put in Clinical Excellence Commission into the Google search, you will come up with this website. It's divided into a number of different risk factors, but one of them is falls prevention. And in that, they have a number of different downloadable fact sheets, and those fact sheets are available in quite a few different languages. So again, a really nice, easy to use resource that you can start looking at right now.
I certainly will be ringing up to get a copy of that booklet. So we're going to put up the details of the websites that Trish has referred to on our Facebook page. Trish, I can't thank you enough for all that fabulous information, and we very much appreciate you making the time to come in today. So I've been speaking to Trish Lynch, and I want to say, again, on behalf of all of our listeners to Good Vibrations, a great big thank you.
Thank you, Diana and Trish, and check out those websites for more information. And now it's time for Trivial. Time to test the grey matter. Welcome our host of Trivial, Alan Roberts.
Welcome to It's Trivial with your host, Alan Roberts. Back for another week of questions and answers. Well, I'll do the questions, you do the answers. This week, we have a music trivia week. 5 questions on general knowledge about music, all sorts of weird questions I've come across on music, and 5 questions on a theme within the music theme. So a sub-theme, if you like. But let's do the general knowledge ones first. Question 1. Australians love a big thing. In which New South Wales town is the big golden guitar? Question 2. What 2 animals appear in the lyrics of the song Waltzing Matilda? Question 3. Tainted Love was a 1981-82 worldwide top 10 hit for which English band? Question 4. A typical string quartet contains 2 violins and which 2 other instruments? And question 5. What is, or was, a Maxwell UR90? That's the end of our general knowledge music. And now for our theme of the week. If you were listening last week, you would have heard our resident music guy, Steve Ferreira, with his piece on the Zombies. But you would have also noticed that the Zombies were originally called the Mustangs. And this is true of many bands. They go through changes of names until they become famous and get stuck with the one they're using at the time. So this round is called A Band by Any Other Name Would Play as Sweet. I'll give you a former name of a band that became famous, and you tell me what they became famous as. Question 1. Originally called The Quarrymen, what did this English band become famous as? Question 2. An Australian band, originally called the Farris Brothers, what did they become famous as? Question 3. An American band, originally known as the Pendletones, but what did they achieve their fame as in the 60s? Question 4. A band that had an original name of the Polka Tulk Blues Band. That's Polka Tulk, T-U-L-K, Blues Band. And question 5. A band that went through many changes of name, including Ted Ed Fred, Bliss, Pen Cap Chew, and Skid Row, became famous under what name? And that's our music trivia for today. Hope you had fun trying to answer those questions, got your brains vibrating a little, and we'll be back again next week with another round of trivia. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page for all the questions that you can ponder over longer and all the answers as well. This is your host, Trivial, signing off for another week. And remember, if it's not trivial, it's not important. Bye for now.
Last up in the show are some words of wisdom from Del Yates.
My name is Del Yates, with your dose of weekly wisdom from the School of Practical Philosophy. It's not heavy, it's simple, just a few lines, but they put a mirror up to my day-to-day life, and sometimes that's just what I need. Take today's communication from Confucius. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. So Confucius could ask us, what unnecessary complexity are you adding to your world? Are there ballooning worries and fears, doubts, overthinking, all going around and around? And this could be your family, relationships, work, anywhere, any place. So the message is, work on simplification, not complication. And there are more thoughts for your thoughts on the School of Philosophy website, where there is information on events and classes around Australia. And there's a link also to this on Good Vibrations Facebook page. So until next week, bye.
Well, that's it for the week. Check out the answers to Alan's trivia quiz on our Facebook page called The Good Vibration Show. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can listen anytime and catch up on an episode you missed. I'd like to thank our guests from New South Wales Health, Trish Lynch, our regular hosts, Diana Dagg, Steve Ferreira, Alan Roberts and Del Yates, plus the Inner West Council for supporting our show. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Jackie Bode. And when it comes to good vibrations, remember to take them in and send them out. Until next time.